Ever notice how sometimes you just click with someone in a conversation?
Yeah.
Walk away feeling like you really connected.
Like you were really heard.
Yeah, exactly. And understood.
Right.
Well, that's what we are going to dive into today.
Mm.
Like, how to make those conversations happen more.
More often.
Yeah. So we're looking at some pretty interesting stuff, real practical tips people have figured out that can boost anyone's conversational skills.
Mm-hmm.
So think of it as, kind of like a cheat sheet for better connections and feeling confident when you're talking to people.
Exactly. And it's not about like becoming some kind of smooth talker
Right.
or, memorizing lines or anything like that.
Yeah, totally.
It's more about, just understanding how we connect as humans.
Right.
And picking up, like you said, a few simple things
Mm-hmm.
that can make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So first impressions, right? Huge.
Oh, huge. Yeah.
I mean, there's this thing about smiling. Okay, we all smile, but apparently there's a way to smile that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
It's called the slow smile.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
The slow smile.
Yeah, so what's the deal with that?
Well, it's all about how our brains, react to different types of smiles. Like if you think about it,
Yeah.
an immediate smile that
Yeah.
kind of just appears.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can come across as a little generic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like polite,
Yeah.
but not genuine.
Not quite genuine,
Yeah.
but when you have that slow smile, it builds gradually
Mm-hmm.
after you've made eye contact with someone.
Right.
So it's like, oh, it's for them,
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like my default smile,
Right, yeah.
I'm happy to see you smile. It's like,
Yeah, it's like a recognition smile.
right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's you.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
As opposed to like, oh, I have to smile for everyone right now.
Right, exactly.
It's just that split second, makes all the difference.
It really does. So speaking of seeing someone, we're talking eye contact.
Came across this term sticky eyes. Thought, okay, this is a little much, but actually the idea is really interesting.
Oh, I love that term.
Yeah.
Sticky eyes. It does make you think of something kind of creepy, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But it's not about, like, staring intently,
No.
like laser beams out of your eyes.
Yeah, right.
It's simply about holding eye contact for just a smidge longer than your instinct might tell you to. It shows that you're really paying attention. It shows that you're engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone's eyes kind of dart away quickly,
Yeah.
it can almost make you feel like, oh, are they not really here?
Yeah, like they're not that interested.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that holding just a beat longer, again, we're not talking about uncomfortable, staring contests here,
No, right.
but just that little extra shows respect, it shows focus.
What do you think stands out to you about that, the sticky eyes?
It's the sense of being acknowledged, right? Feeling like what you're saying matters to the other person.
Exactly, yeah.
And it ties into body language, which we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, totally. There was this term called big baby pivot. And I have to admit, I pictured somebody literally like spinning around
Yeah, I love it.
to face the person.
Yeah, that's a great image.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's actually a good way to think about it.
Mm.
The big baby pivot really means turning your whole body to face the person who's speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you just angle your body slightly,
Right.
it helps. But that full pivot
Right.
really sends that message of, hey, I'm here, I'm listening, you matter.
Totally. Like you have my full attention.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And, we don't always think about that, but if you recall a time when someone gave you their full attention, like, how did that make you feel?
It makes you feel important, like what you're saying is.
Important.
Yeah, that's huge.
Really makes a difference.
It does. Okay, so we've got the smile, we've got the eye contact, we've got the body language.
Right.
Now we got to start the conversation.
Mm.
And I'm loving this next one because it is so much better than, how are you?
Right.
It's, what's the story?
I love that.
Yeah.
What's the story?
Yeah, because, how are you? It's like, fine, how are you?
Exactly.
It's just this automatic response.
Yeah, it's almost like a reflex, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But when you ask, so what's been keeping you busy lately? Or how'd you get into doing what you do? Like, that invites more of a story.
It's so much more open-ended.
Yeah.
It lets the other person share something real,
Mm-hmm.
something that they're excited about.
Yeah.
So instead of just those polite formalities,
Right.
we can actually have a meaningful exchange.
And you're showing genuine interest in them, too.
Exactly. You're saying, hey, I want to know more about you.
Mm-hmm.
Curious.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so say they give you a little something. You want them to elaborate. That's where the parroting comes in, right?
A parroting, yeah.
Which sounds a little almost too simple.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's amazing how well it works.
Yeah.
It's all about taking the last few words someone said and turning it into a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if they say, I just got back from this really interesting trip, you just say, interesting trip.
Mm-hmm.
And, with that little upward inflection,
Right.
and that naturally prompts them to, okay, where'd you go?
Mm-hmm.
What made it interesting? It keeps that flow going.
Yeah, it does.
Mm.
And it feels so much less like you're...
Interrogating them.
Yes, exactly.
Which no one wants, right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
So maintaining that natural flow is...
So important because we don't want it to feel like an interview.
Right, exactly.
Like a back and forth.
Got
It should feel like a dance, like a nice flow.
Yes, I love that, yeah.
A comfortable dance.
Yeah.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah. And then there's mirroring.
Mirroring.
Which I've heard of.
Yeah.
Where you kind of subtly copy their behavior.
Yeah.
Does that feel weird to do?
It can if you're too conscious of it.
Right.
But what's amazing is we actually do this naturally when we feel connected to someone. Yeah.
Wow.
So mirroring is just, gently reflecting some other nonverbal cues.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe their tone of voice, their posture,
right.
Maybe even a few of their gestures.
Mm-hmm.
When it's done subtly, it just creates this feeling of like we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, like you're in sync.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like a secret handshake, but with your whole body.
I like that, yeah.
But the key is subtle.
Right.
You don't want to be a copycat, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Nobody likes that.
No, you'll freak them out.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about starting conversations, keeping them going.
Mm.
What about just being a good listener?
Oh, that's huge.
It feels like...
It's everything.
Yeah, it's more than half the battle.
It really is. And, the biggest part of that is just letting people finish their thoughts without interrupting them.
Right.
Because that shows respect.
Yeah.
It shows that you actually care about what they have to say.
Yeah.
And, even if you think you know where they're going with their point, just let them finish it. Let them get it all out.
Right.
Because jumping in, it makes them feel like, oh, what I have to say isn't that important.
Right, yeah.
So
you can shut a conversation down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just hold back. Even if you have the most amazing thing to say,
Just let them
finish.
Finish.
Yeah.
And then there's the correcting thing.
Oh, yeah.
I know I do this.
We all do it.
Yeah, the urge to jump in and clarify.
Right, yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a super important fact where it really matters to get it right.
Yeah.
It's best to just let those little inaccuracies slide, because most of the time we're just trying to connect.
Right.
We're not trying to win a debate.
Right.
Yeah. And if you're constantly correcting someone, it just makes them feel self-conscious.
Right.
And they might not want to share as much next time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So it's more about that connection than being right all the time.
Right. Pick your battles.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about building those strong connections.
Okay.
And this one blew my mind.
Okay.
The Ben Franklin effect.
Oh, wow.
The idea that asking someone for a favor could make them like you more.
It sounds crazy, right?
It's crazy.
But it's true.
Yeah.
There's actually psychology behind it.
Yeah.
So when you ask someone for a small favor,
Yeah.
it makes them think, well, I helped this person, so I must like them. Because why else would you help someone?
Right.
So their brain kind of has to adjust how they see you to match their actions.
Wow. So it's not about manipulating anyone or anything like that.
Right.
It's just about creating a little connection through a positive interaction.
Yeah, so like I'm giving them the chance to be a good person.
Exactly.
Which then makes them feel better about me.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so clever.
It's pretty neat, huh?
It is. Okay, so what about stuff we do that maybe we don't realize that might hurt a connection?
Yeah.
Over-apologizing is a big one.
Oh, yeah, I'm guilty of that one.
I think we all are, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So apologizing when you've done something wrong, totally get it.
Of course.
But, like, saying sorry all the time, it makes you seem...
Well, it makes you seem less confident.
Right.
Right. It's like you're always worried about messing up or living in the wrong.
Yeah, like you're walking on eggshells.
Right, exactly.
And nobody wants to be around that.
Exactly.
Sure.
It can actually diminish your presence, because you're constantly making yourself smaller.
Right.
So watch out for those apologies.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so switching gears a little, the power pause.
Oh, yeah, the power pause.
Sounds very, like, public speaking-y.
It does, but it works in everyday conversations, too.
Really?
Yeah, just taking a little pause before you speak,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're going to say something important,
Right.
makes it sound like you really thought about it.
Yeah, you're not just rambling.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like, boom, this is what I have to say.
Right.
It's powerful.
It makes you seem more confident.
Way more confident,
Yeah.
and it makes your message land harder.
That's fascinating, just that little bit of silence.
It's a game changer.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked about, having a great conversation, connecting with the person.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got to end it without seeming rude.
Yeah, that can be tricky.
And the compliment sandwich sounds pretty good.
The compliment sandwich, I love it.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
So you start with a genuine compliment about the conversation. Then you give your reason for leaving.
Right.
And then you end with another positive note.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say something like, this has been a really insightful chat. I actually have to run to another meeting, but I really enjoyed hearing your perspective.
Mm.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's a nice way to
Wrap it up.
wrap it up. Yeah.
Leave them feeling good.
Yeah, and leave that door open to talk again.
Exactly.
So we covered a lot, and you're listening thinking, okay, this is a lot. Like, what are the big takeaways?
Well, the biggest one is to really focus on the other person.
Mm.
It's not about you getting your point across.
Yeah.
It's about making them feel heard,
Yeah.
seen, understood.
Yeah.
It's about paying attention to their body language as well as their words.
Right.
And at the end of the day, people remember how you made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can make someone feel good during a conversation,
Yeah.
they'll want to talk to you again.
Right. So it's not about like having the best things to say.
Right. It's not about being a brilliant conversationalist.
Right. Exactly.
It's about being present and making that connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Okay, so much good stuff.
I know.
What's your best advice for somebody who's listening?
Start small.
Yeah.
Pick one or two of these things
Mm-hmm.
that you really liked
Right.
and try them out.
Yeah.
Don't try to do it all at once.
Right. That'd be too much.
Yeah, it'll be overwhelming and it'll feel forced.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe you try the slow smile and sticky eyes
Okay.
next time you're talking to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you use what's your story instead of how are you?
Okay.
Just see how it feels.
Yeah.
See how they respond.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can gradually add more techniques as you go.
I love that.
It's like anything else, right?
Yeah, baby steps.
You've got to practice
Yeah.
to get good at it.
Totally. Okay, so much good stuff here.
So much.
So for you listening right now, what's going to be the one thing you try?
Yeah. Pick one.
What's going to make the biggest impact in your conversations?
Mm,
Maybe think about how you're going to weave it in.
yeah. Think about it.
Because sometimes the smallest changes
I know.
make the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
It's been so fun diving into this.
This has been great.
Yeah, I love these little tips and tricks.
Me too.